That's no moon.
Clear Bay 327. We are opening the magnetic field.
Hello there, and welcome to Docking Bay 327. Before we get started today, I just wanted to let you know that I do have a whole other section of this room that I've started working on. And so I've got some really cool stuff coming up. You're not going to want to miss it. So if you haven't subscribed, be sure and do that and click the bell so you can be alerted when I post new content so you can keep up, because I've got some really awesome stuff coming. Now, for today, we're going to talk about my hair. Well, sort of. Thanks to my awesome hairstylist, I have this very cool hairdo. See? Huh? Thanks, Madonna. Now, as you can imagine, to maintain this do, I have to use a whole lot of this hairspray. Now, bear with me. I'll show you where I'm going with this. So, a awesome member on the Facebook Star Wars Room Builders group posted some reference photos from Galaxy's Edge. And as I was scrolling through them, I found one particular panel, and then I looked at this, and I looked at the picture, and I thought this is a perfect size and shape to recreate that prop. So I get to recycle my hairspray cans, and at the same time build an awesome prop to hang on my Star Wars office wall. Now, it's probably easier if I just show you. Come on. Here's the reference pic from the Galaxy's Edge that inspired this build. You can see that the shape of the container is very similar to my hairspray can. So with that, I got to work. I started with a leftover piece of my go-to MDF chalkboard as the base. I laid out 2 of my hairspray cans and some old electrical boxes. At least half of this build is made with things I had lying around. I like to use up the materials I have before going out to purchase anything new. Now here's a cool trick to get those pesky labels off without tearing them or leaving any of the residue from the adhesive. Run the heat gun over it for about 30 seconds and presto, a perfect removal. Next, I found some pieces that I could put together to make the center socket looking part of the prop. I kept this scrap piece from another build that fit perfectly in this other part that I salvaged from an old rear projection TV. I decided I could use the scrap MDF circle to hold the socket greebly in place. Then, I broke out some of my greebly bins to see what I had on hand that I could use to build the top piping section of the panel. This is one of my favorite parts about these projects. I could spend hours just going through all my greeblies just to find that perfect part. I found several really cool pieces, but they just weren't the right scale for this prop. So, I made a quick run to Lowe's and picked up a few inexpensive pieces in the plumbing and electrical aisles. The one part I couldn't find at Lowe's is this square piece. If you know what this is called, please let me know in the comments. I had a couple of leftover wood blocks that were the right size, so I just made my own. I had these bolts with a cool looking spring, so I used my digital calipers to find the correct size drill bit to go through the top of the blocks as well as the tubing. Looks pretty similar to the piping section in the reference pic. It at least conveys the same idea, so I'm happy with it. For the electrical boxes, I wanted to add some detail to make them more closely resemble the boxes in the picture. I bolted leftover MDF pieces to the side of both and then added some styrene to the top. I was really excited because I finally got to use my nibbler tool. Then I assembled the center socket piece using a washer, a hex bolt, and a nut. With everything now put together and in place, I marked the pieces with a silver Sharpie and used JB Weld 2-part epoxy to attach them all to the board. I clamped it all down and let it cure overnight just to ensure they would adhere well to the MDF. I drilled 4 corner holes for the hex bolts to install it on the wall later. Now it was time to paint. So I masked off the center socket piece so its metal finish would stand out. To mix up the paint, I used this fantastic gift from Ado at Fabworks. I'll put a link to his build video in the description below. To match the prop from Galaxy's Edge, I used this smoky beige spray paint and covered the entire piece.
Everything's gone. We're children of the war. Where do we go now?
Finally, it was time to dirt it up. I used my standard black wash with some burnt umber mixed in to give certain areas the look of rust. I applied the mix generously on the entire panel while it was propped up at an angle to allow some of the paint to drip and run down the front. I waited just a bit and then dabbed and wiped the black wash off with a shop towel. Then added more layers to appear as if some of the drip stains were more recent. I also used my trusty makeup brush to smooth out and feather some of the brush strokes to give it more of a natural, weathered look. I repeated this process until it was a filthy, grimy mess, just like the one at Galaxy's Edge. Because I used several metal pieces, I went back with a razor knife and scratched off some of the paint to expose the metal finish. And here's the final result. All in all, the entire build only took me about 3 days to complete, and it turned out great. I am excited to find a good place to install this panel in my Star Wars office. So there you go, an awesome Star Wars panel to hang on my wall in my Star Wars office. I recycled some hairspray cans so they don't go into the dump. So it's a win-win. Hope you liked the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. As I mentioned before, I'm just getting started on the other section of my room, which is going to be mainly my music room. And I've got one particular piece that I'm building right now that's coming along amazingly, and you're really going to love it. So stay tuned, and until then, build with what you know and figure out the rest.